What's up, YouTube? So I'm going to continue on with the EJ257 teardown. Need to get this down to the bare block, and so basically exhaust is all going to come off, the intake manifold, eventually down to the timing belt, and pop those cylinder heads off. Then we can kind of maybe even get a look to see what might have happened. So yeah, I still have it kind of sitting propped up on that bucket, and it's been sitting on the crane, just kind of holding an extra little bit of tension on it. And so I'm actually going to probably lift it up first and start with the exhaust, get it off, probably even unbolt the up pipe from the turbo, and then once that stuff's kind of out of the way, I won't even have to really have the crane there anymore. Then I can just go ahead and start pulling the intake manifold and get the turbo off and work my way down towards the timing belt after that. So we're going to time-lapse time. So I'm making some pretty good progress. Got the exhaust all off. The whole intake manifold's off. It takes quite a bit more to get one of these intakes off than, like, say, an older turbo model or any NA model. Turbocharger's off, and just what's left is, yeah, there's some hoses and stuff going in behind the timing covers, and probably a lot of stuff I can actually leave on to unbolt the heads. But the next step is definitely timing covers and to get the belt off. Now, I know these cam pulleys or cam sprockets have, or cam gears, whatever you want to call them. They're quite specific, and it's very difficult to hold on to them. I have ordered the kit to hold the pulleys and the great big long handle ones, plus the keywayed ones to actually hold the camshafts. But it hasn't arrived yet. But I still think I can probably get it apart as long as this thing's at top dead center, or off top dead center, and the pistons are down sunk in where they're supposed to be when you take the timing apart. There really shouldn't be any problems. So ready to start taking off the crank pulley timing covers, and we'll get down to the actual long block.
From beneath the sand, days can take me across, seem so far away. Across the universe, she lives another day. I know the reason she stays. I know the reason she's so far away. I know the reason she stays. I know the reason she's so far away. reason she's so far away. I know the reason she's taken. I know the reason she's so far away. Floating through the clouds, a light emerges from beneath the sand. Distant miracles seem so far away. Across the universe she lives another.
Behind that door is my kitchen. And in that kitchen, I made this grilled cheese sandwich. And now this grilled cheese sandwich will continue satisfying my hunger. So it's the following morning, and I'm not quite sure. I didn't really do an intermission like I usually do when I get to a certain point. And but yeah, I got the belt all off. You could see when I was holding those camshafts, I was basically using these two guys and then just vice grip them together. I do have the proper tool coming to line the pulleys back up, so I won't have to worry about using those little tools to get it back together. And obviously, like, got a lot more apart than I was thinking, because Tyler ended up coming over and giving me a quick hand, and he wanted to have a look, and I wanted to see what was going on too. So got the timing set all off. Couple additional things to get the actual cylinder head off, but the head bolts came out quite easy. Usually there's a lot of weight I got to put on the head bolts to get them off, but these ones seem to crack loose rather easy. No signs of head gasket failure at all. Head gasket's in awesome shape. I mean, there's not even a single issue with it. Not that you're going to reuse that, but getting the head off and actually having a look at the cylinders. Maybe I'll switch down the light a little bit. And I have an Instagram photo up. It might show it a little better. But you can see this cylinder wall, and you can see the cross hatching, the little swipes, the little sanded lines going in a cross kind of pattern. And over on this side, you've got the same type of thing going on, but you can also see this distinct line or stripe in the cylinder wall, and you can't feel it. It's probably quite minimal, but it indicates something's going on, and you should never see something like that on any cylinder wall. Maybe if it was quite even and, you know, a very old engine, then that would be normal. Imagine when we get this piston out, on the exhaust side of the piston at the second valve, we'll see some kind of issue. But I'm going to continue on and get this side off. And actually, now I'm remembering, you may, like in the time lapse, you probably see I'm getting this head off, and the weight of the engine, these heads just weigh so much that as soon as this one let go, the whole block was going that way. And I had two hands on the head, so I had to let go of the head, grab onto the block because I thought it was going to go, and I still saved the head with my one hand. Yeah, so you got to be careful when you're doing stuff like that. You should always think ahead of time, and maybe it's just because Tyler was here and we were kind of excited to see what was going on in the cylinder that happened, but nothing bad happened, nothing's broken or anything. So I'm going to move on and get this side off and be finally down to the bare block. So the right hand side cylinder head, or bank number 1 cylinder head, is now off. Basically the same exact procedure as the other side. I've looking at these cylinder walls, and I see a very small problem with number 1. Now that could just be normal wear, but from what I can tell, these things crank clockwise, and that would be the non-thrust side of the piston. And what I mean by that is when the piston's making power and the engine's rotating, it would be rotating in a clockwise direction. So you think of this cylinder making power, most of the piston pressure will end up on the cylinder wall on the top of this cylinder and on the bottom of those cylinders. So this wear is kind of on the opposite side that you would expect it. It looks a little bit similar to the other side. It's possibly just a small issue going on there, or maybe even something with the ring. But I mean, this one's got some marks, but nothing I'm really concerned about. Looks really good. So yeah, now that we're down to that point, there's a few more things I need to swap over, but I'm going to save that for another time. We need to get some seals and gaskets so I can start getting this thing back together. And I've got to swap this oil pump. The crank gear needs to come off. We're going to reuse this water pump. The oil cooler needs to come off, and the pipes and hoses associated. This PCV hose, the knock sensor. So just a few items need to come off of this block to be put onto the other one. We've got new motor mounts to install, and obviously a completely new clutch set, but we do have a new air separator plate for the back. You can see I put rags all over everything. I'm kind of a rag addict for keeping stuff as clean as possible. So these are basically marked. This will be the left-hand head, so that's our intake camshaft sitting next to the intake lifters, and the exhaust and exhaust. These are marked with an arrow going forward, so this would be the first cylinder and closest to the front of the engine. He caught this problem early. He was really paying attention to what was going on with his car, so really didn't cause anything much of an issue. The VF48 still in absolutely perfect shape, no shaft play at all, no signs of real leakage. It's just been burning the oil that's going through the actual engine. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up for this time, and you guys will have to check back to see what's going on the next time. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.